It's probably, as far as topics go, I've literally hinged my entire professional career on this one topic.
Me too. I'm excited.
All right. So, a summary to the audience. Today, we're going to be talking about selling, as every entrepreneur does, without selling your soul. I look at good marketers and I go, wow, they're just really great liars.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
Welcome to the Soul Proprietor Podcast. I'm Curt Kempton.
And I'm Melody Edwards.
Each week, we dive into the ethical questions that keep entrepreneurs awake at night.
Whether you're building your own company or exploring life's big questions, you are welcome here.
Melody, I'm really excited about today's topic. It's probably, as far as topics go, I've literally hinged my entire professional career on this one topic.
Me too. I'm excited.
All right. So, a summary to the audience. Today, we're going to be talking about selling, as every entrepreneur does, without selling your soul. Melody, what does that mean to you?
Well, for me, what that means is that I'm just a nice person who wants you to come to me as a person who has a need and trust me, want to work with me without me having to sell you on anything. Like that's my ideal version of sales, is having somebody just come to me as a referral, essentially. Say, yeah, I'd love to help you. And with almost no pushback, nothing at all. Because honestly, Curt, that was my whole life in business before home service VA was just, I never had to sell. It was easy. They came to me and I didn't know. I had no idea how lucky I was.
Yeah, you were lucky. I had a cleaning company and that was definitely not the case for me.
I don't know. I knew how to reach my people the right way, I guess. And I'm a weirdo. But no, that implied that you didn't know. We are different areas of the country. No judgment there.
That's
But
okay. You did not hurt my feelings. I know that you're a weirdo and I know that I'm a weirdo in our own different ways.
Yeah.
So,
Well, here's the thing. When I started home service VA, I assumed it would go pretty much the same because that's all it had ever been for me. Like people just came to me and then I just helped them. And that was not my experience. It turns out that you actually have to like not only talk to people, you have to show them that you are an authority on the thing that you're talking about. There's so many things that make me uncomfortable about selling that I have been battling through for the past 6 or 7 years consistently, more than that. But it's my biggest struggle. Although I will say now I'm good at the when people get in front of me part now, even if they don't fully know me, I'm still struggling with really marketing, which is also sales. You're selling to people who don't even know you at all. So that's my main struggle now, is the marketing aspect of selling. What about you?
I look at good marketers and I go, wow, they're just really great liars.
Yes. Oh my God, yes. It's awful because it means that I can't, because I'm like, but I don't want to be a liar.
Yeah. But that in itself is actually not a truth either.
I know.
Marketers do have to make things look bigger, enlarge texture, right? For your cereal box, they've got to make the magic of Disneyland seem bigger, right? Like I do get that a big part of marketing is enlarge to show texture. Objects in a mirror may seem closer than they actually are. But, that's a whole other dilemma. And I think it's important that our audience knows that about me before I talk about my eternal dilemma, is that I'm always afraid that if you read between the lines, I look dishonest. And
Yes.
so sales and marketing both, while you're busy preaching the goodness of what you do, knowing that you're not perfect, there is a lot of margin for that very thing where you oversell, you seem better than you actually are. And that comes across as disingenuous or maybe unauthentic. And those are big concerns for me, which, as I've said to you before, Melody, being disingenuous is the exact opposite of what I'm trying to accomplish in my life. And therein lies my eternal struggle where I may need a therapist. And today, Melody, you will be my therapist. Probably not qualified because you're basically in the same echo chamber as me. But I do think that both of us have a beautiful ability to see things from multiple perspectives. And even though we know we struggle in a certain area, we can see where there's room to improve. So I don't think that what we're going to do today is create an echo chamber. What we're going to do today is try to find the doors in the room that we can open that will align with our beliefs, that will free us into new and better ways of being an entrepreneur.
Yes, and that does require therapy. And I will gladly be your business therapist today. You and I have been in a space in business where we've known people long enough that we've bought things from people, we've been
Mm.
marketed to for so many different things, services, and we've experienced the disappointment of buying something we were told it was gonna be magical. It ends up being just regular and not magical at
Mm,
all, and sometimes it's
yeah.
worse than regular,
Oh,
and that's the worst. That's
and
when I
that's
get
where the
mad.
conditioning I think that you and I both have come to know is that
Yes.
conditioning of, this happens. I've been a victim of it, and I don't wanna do anything like that.
Well, because 'cause
So
we're both trusting people. This whole problem, as I start to think about it, the scale of it is so large because it's about trust. Like, if somebody says something to me, I was raised in such a way that I believe authority. I grew up in a way that you trust not only authority, charismatic authority.
Mm,
And for me, it's just my norm that I've been tricked over and over again because I'm like, well, they wouldn't say that they're really, really good at this thing or that this product will change my life if it wasn't true. And they're saying it like with passion. So obviously it's correct. So what is your experience with buying things from other people when that's happened to you? What's
okay.
your, yeah.
I wanna come back. I'm gonna answer your question, but I just
Okay.
wrote a note to myself to come back to this charismatic authority. I think this will be an opportunity for us to both talk about our religious upbringings
Yeah.
because ironically, I actually am less likely to believe someone who's charismatic.
Interesting.
Yeah, it'll be a fun conversation that will fit
Okay.
very well into what we're gonna talk about later. But anyway, my experience was growing up is that we didn't have a lot of money. And it's a weird scenario today where kids grow up and they have things and they expect that the moment they launch, they're gonna have all the things and then
Yeah.
they'll just go up from there. I grew up in a house where I think jealous is probably an okay word. I went to school with kids that I was jealous of that had a lot more things. So when I launched my life, that wasn't a hard thing that I struggled with. What I was taught though growing up, not in terms of like systematic programming, but in terms of observation and just having a care for my parents, is that people who sell you stuff are manipulators and people who buy stuff are the manipulated.
Mm,
Now, I didn't believe that at every single level. I believed it at sort of a generalized level.
yeah.
Just to give you a quick sampling, just so you know who you're dealing with here. I remember that my parents saved up for ages to take me to ironically, we're talking about magic of Disneyland. They took me to Disneyland. Now my mom's sister lived in Anaheim at the time, and so it was cheap for us to stay because we could stay at their house. We all cramped into the like one big living
Yeah.
room area. We brought our sleeping bags and we drove there, and then we are gonna get in. And this is when getting into Disneyland was still relatively expensive, but not like
Yeah.
today. And but I remember just being so hyped. We're going to Disneyland. This is like people like us don't go to Disneyland. And I got there and my aunt saw the shoes I was wearing and she said something to my mom, like, "You're gonna make him walk around all day in those shoes?" I was very young. I'm gonna go ahead and just throw a number out there. I know it's not exactly 8 years old, but I was in that 8-year-old range. And I knew at that age that my mom was now pressured to make a decision to buy me new shoes in order to get the approval of her sister. So we went to a Payless shoe store, which is the only place we would ever buy shoes. Payless shoe stores.
Same.
My mom bought me a pair of XJ900s. They were designed to look just like Jordans, but they're made out
Mm,
of plastic. I remember just guilt-ridden. Like, "Mom, these
mm,
shoes I have are fine. I don't need any new shoes. I'm athletic. I could run around all day. I don't need new shoes." And she's like, "No, we're gonna get you new shoes. We're gonna be standing on our feet all day. I wanna take care of your feet." "Mom, I don't need new shoes. I really don't. I really don't." I went home just bawling my eyes out thinking that my
mm,
parents are already making this massive sacrifice to get us here. Gosh, I can already feel the emotion coming over me right now.
mm,
I'm going back in time, and I remember coming home in the car and just being like, "Mom, please just return these. I don't want them." And, I
mm.
just laid in bed crying, thinking that I had put my parents through something that they were trying to do something nice for me and they got punished. Now, I'm only telling that story to inform
Yeah.
you of the fact that when I was an entrepreneur, that same little 8-year-old kid grew up into an adult thinking that he was making a way for himself and making an honest dollar. And I find myself selling a window cleaning or a pressure washing
Mm.
job, my first ever opportunity. And all of a sudden, I felt like a charlatan. It's terrible.
It's funny you chose 8 as your year, and I relate to so much of what you just said because I definitely felt I didn't ever feel poor, but we grew up in a housing development till I was about 12, and we definitely were poor. And
Mhm.
then as my parents got older, because they were very young when they had me, so that immediately puts them back a step. And then they did better as time went on. The life
And
my brother.
my parents did too.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, that's kind of like the curse of being the oldest also of young parents. But when I was 8, I was in a cult. And so,
Oh,
yeah, it
oh,
was
wow.
yeah, maybe between the ages of 8 to 10 or 11. It was a charismatic Christian, evangelical church. It was definitely a cult because there's a support group online for it. The leader was very charismatic, all the things that on the checklist, but most importantly, when we left, we were cast out and we lost every single human that we knew. And that
Oh,
had been a part of our life every day because we lived and breathed that church. I was just talking to my dad about this recently. And so that was kind of my life with my parents a lot of the time when they were younger is they were seekers and they're kind of
mm,
charismatic seekers in a way. And
okay.
I'm a follower of the seekers. The way I describe it is they'd kind of be like on a path forward. They believe in this thing. And then suddenly I'd still be going further, like, no, we're going this way now, but I'm still kind of following the thing. It took me until I was really old. I mean, like, I've always gone on my own in many different ways. I moved out of the country when I was young. Like, it's not like I followed the thing all through life, but that young 8-year-old version of us is
Uh-huh.
very, very open and susceptible
Mm,
to carry things with us for the rest of our life, and so
yeah.
I've always
Well,
felt like
8
that.
is a special age. It's an age where
Yeah,
you haven't got become a teenager to where you've rebelled against your parents. They're still kind of
yeah,
you see them for what they are as far as, like, providers and lovers of you and sort of your biggest cheerleaders.
yeah,
And you haven't really developed probably at that age yet friends that will give you other perspectives into the world of how it might be in other bubbles that other people live in. Even if you do hang out with friends a lot, it's such a metered
yes.
age. So yeah, I mean, really for today's topic of selling without selling your soul, you can see that I truly do need therapy,
It's very complicated. Yeah.
but what I did, as far as my story goes, I got married young. I was married when I was 21. Rachel was 19. We had a baby. We got pregnant 8 months later. So we had a baby not within our first year of marriage, but, dang close. And then I was trying to provide, and protector, provider. Those were important things for me. And I went out thinking that it was just going to be about working with my hands and doing good, honest work. And I literally created a software to systematize and automate the selling part of my business. And I wouldn't have told you this at the beginning, but I will tell you now that not only did I feel like the most massive fraud as I was out selling window cleaning jobs to people who literally called me to come sell them a window cleaning job,
Yes,
because,
yeah.
like, as a poor person, who pays to have their windows cleaned? That's crazy to me.
Did you give the rich person best friend discount at
Oh,
times as well?
obviously, because I need to make sure they're
Yes.
my friends and they need to
Yes,
know that.
yes.
So, yes, but obviously I automated past that, and that was a big revelation for me. What I learned in those first years was that I loathed, and I use that word intentionally, going to those places and offering people the value that they were asking me to provide. It turned out that if you just listen to what good, honest salespeople do and then just systematize it, which is what I ended up doing, and then it turned into my whole software company. What I found is that you can build a system that's really, really true to your authenticity,
Yeah.
that follows a system, and you find out that the buyers actually really value a great buying experience.
Mhm.
What I'm really excited to talk to you about today is how charisma and how sharing your value stack and how we're going to talk about some technical terms,
Yeah.
how all of that actually is used not to manipulate someone who came to you with a specific problem looking for a solution, but to persuade them to do something in their best interest that your company has systematically provided for. And that's where that good hard work comes into play. You
Mhm.
built something that genuinely provides a solution to people seeking those opportunities, but you got to learn how to beat your drum properly so that the right people hear your music.
Yes.
So we'll get into that, but that's sort of where I'm coming from. And it's weird to say it all in like this paragraph narrative because as I listen to myself, I think my company exists because I was chicken.
Yeah.
I was too chicken to do it on my own. And, I know there's people that use my software that, are there for the same exact reasons. And then obviously it's fun to also have users of our software who just, that's not where they're coming from, but they just need the system, you know?
Well, I mean, that's how I got to know you, of course, was using your software for the very reason that you talked about, because I understood that, at what point do we like, there's a lot of things in entrepreneurship where we're like, we have to become the best at this thing. We can't
Yeah,
let it like we're weak if we don't work through it, right? And so
yeah.
people are just like, you just got to sell. You got to learn to love. You're selling. Like I've heard every reason in the book to love selling, or to the reasons why I shouldn't care. But what
And
your
yet
software
hearing it's not the same as, actually absorbing
no,
it.
of
Yeah.
course not. But here's the thing. At what point do you just find a solution that's outside yourself?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was responsibid. And it did exactly like remember in the early years of your software, like how it didn't actually quite work yet for for where I live as you were developing it.
Yeah, you're like, "Hey, what about these crazy window styles?" And I'm
And you're
like,
like, "What's that?"
In Arizona, we don't have anything
Yeah, I was
like
like a
that."
very early enthusiastic adopter
I
or
look back to the early days, I can't believe people paid me money for that. Like, I genuinely thought it was the greatest thing ever. I
yeah,
really did.
yeah.
And then, like, in those early days, I look back and I go, "Wow, I just didn't have a
Well,
clue."
it's a good thing you didn't know because it wouldn't
'Cause then I
exist.
would have never sold it. I never would
Yeah.
have sold it, right?
But
Yeah.
but the thing is, I trusted you, right? Like,
Mhm.
the way that you talked about the things, the whole like, that's the thing. If people look at you and me, and if they actually see how we are in this world, I think we're pretty trustworthy people,
Mhm.
and people can trust that when we talk about something, we're not scamming them, we're not but, internally, that's the thing we struggle with, right?
Mm.
And so I never thought like, "Oh, can I trust this guy?" I mean, you did such a good job of explaining why it was cool, how it could work cool. You're the one who taught me about packages way back then.
Yeah.
Well, you're the person I listened to first about it. But it took me a couple more years to even feel the courage to try it. And of course, we both know that when you offer people things, it's surprising how many times like what they actually end up with has nothing to do with what they actually need.
Yeah.
It's just some people just want the best. And we would never, you and I would never like take the best because of our, you know, in some ways.
Messed up conditioning, yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah.
also everybody's different and we assume based on our own upbringing, our own
It
behaviors.
it's funny you say that, like, years ago, I actually used to, always buy used computers just because a Mac
Me too.
a year
Yes.
old is so much cheaper,
Yes.
and then, like, one day I was like, "This is, like, your tool, dude. This is how you feed your family.
Yeah.
Get the good stuff." And I walked in, I had this, like, sort of guilt of, like, "Oh, I'm gonna spend, extra, $1,500 to get the muscle power machine," and I walked out of there and I was like, "Good for you, dude. Like,
Mm.
you're gonna get to work and not deal with problems." Like, and that's actually remained true. So it's funny, as I have moved into this like, we had a guy come do our landscape. We paid an ungodly amount of money for our landscaping, our new house, and I'm like, "I can't believe this is happening," but, like, I see the value in what he's selling me.
Yeah.
This is gonna be gorgeous. It's gonna just be fantastic. It's gonna increase the value of my home by more than I'm paying this person.
Yeah.
So I was able to do all the logical things to make my emotional self take a chill pill. In certain ways, I moved into the target market that I've served for so long, and I'm like,
Same.
"Oh, oh, wait, so these
Yep.
people aren't just throwing their money away. They actually are buying insurance against all the problems that cheapskates like I, am in a lot of ways in my life that just deal with problems.
Yes.
They're just like, I would rather pay the money and not have problems. Guess what? You have auto insurance, right? You got
Well,
homeowners insurance,
it's
right?
buying their time. They have money, they're at a certain point in their life, and this it's like people who want these kinds of services value their time. They also
Mhm.
know, "Hey, I'm not the best at landscaping." I hate being outside, not me
Yeah,
personally, but
right.
I would rather pay somebody to do that for me or mow my lawn, like, it's buying back their time.
Yeah.
And so, now that you and I are older, we get it, right?
Yeah.
I could
Oh, it's
not
so
have
funny.
understood when I was 20 something. I could never have imagined because I didn't have anything, and I'd never really had anything before that, so
Well, let's, if I could, I wanna move
please.
this conversation to our religious background. That's something that I know this podcast is a little bit around, and I know there's a spiritual side to your
Mm,
religious beliefs, and I know that there's sort of the dogmatic side to the religious beliefs. We've talked a lot about our upbringing. We haven't talked publicly about this, to this depth before, and so
yeah.
I wanna bring up to us and our audience a little bit about this idea of charismatic authority and charisma and selling, because I think that that's it's a really important to me, and I don't want to speak for you,
Yes.
but charisma is something that my psyche ties back to good and wholesome or yucky and manipulative. So
Mm,
tell me, if you would, a little bit about your charismatic authority
it
experiences
yeah.
growing up, and even if you would share a little bit about, I know when I tell you mine, I think people classify me as being a member of a cult as well. So let's talk about the authority
I
and the
lo
chain of authority.
I love that we can talk about all this stuff. So, here's the weird thing. I'm such a weirdo with when it comes to spirituality, religion, all these things. I'm very like, I'll go and sing at church, and, there's a couple churches locally, and sometimes people will ask me to sing, so I'll go and sing at churches. I'll attend services sometimes, my local congregational church, because it's like my little community church, and I love helping them at their dinners and, like, meeting all the people. It's a community. When it
Mhm,
comes to the actual I was at church on Saturday because I had to go to a person's memorial, and it was a service, we talked about the person, but then they were preaching.
mhm.
And so it's interesting that my experience in these situations is pretty much always the same, and it might be because of this charismatic background thing, right? And also I didn't really have a choice of how I believed when I was younger.
Yeah.
We didn't listen to I missed all of the music of the '80s, which is why I love the music of the '80s. I listened
Ah.
to only Christian music when I was up until about 6th or 7th grade.
Let's put a quick pin there, just
Yes.
that I think for effect, is that in my church, and I think in yours as well, we wait until the age of accountability, which is 8 at our church, for you to be able to make decisions about joining or becoming baptized or whatever. I think it's interesting, we brought up the number 8 several times, that at the age where you are most impressionable
Yes.
by the authority in your life is when we've decided that, you know what? That's when you can make big, big lifelong commitments. Oh, okay, cool. Then why shouldn't I be able to choose my wife right now too? Well, you're not that ready. Oh, okay. Well, so what do you believe? So anyway, I want to point that out that as you're talking right
I
now,
don't
that's what I'm
know
hearing.
Yeah, I don't know if we're allowed to at what age, because I never was allowed to do anything, I felt like. So it really depends on your family, on your background, all of these things.
Okay.
I really felt like whatever listen, I hope my parents never hear this, but I love them so much.
Mhm,
But when my parents were at their most charismatic evangelical stage in
mhm.
that cult church, they were able to convince our neighborhood, some of the people in our neighborhood, that Halloween was evil and that kids should not go out and celebrate it. You can imagine how popular that was with the kids. And then
Probably not.
even when I was allowed to go back out and celebrate Halloween and dress up and do the thing, there were some kids who never got to do that again.
Ah,
And so, like,
uh,
there was a lot of things that were weird. Like, when I look back, I'm like, "That's weird," and I'll ask my dad, he's like, "Oh, that's because of this thing that was going on behind the scenes. Because there's adult things that are going on. But I don't know, like, I was baptized, I think, about 5 or 6 times from the
oh,
age of oh, yeah, we were baptized, like, really young, and then every time we were rebaptized, and there was speaking in tongues at certain points and that which I would try, but I always felt extremely guilty because I knew that I wasn't speaking in tongues.
you're
I
just
was
crazy.
saying things,
We'll have
but
to do an episode with Bobby Walker. I know he
oh,
was
yeah.
one of the brethren in his Pentecostal church, and I think
Oh,
you have a lot
yeah.
to add to that. That's always been interesting, fascinating to me too. I'll
Yeah,
I'll make a note here, talk about that next time.
please. Yeah, it was very confusing. I don't think there was some, like, general it depended on what church we were going to, I guess, was the rule, but
Mhm,
I went to Christian school from 1st to 6th grade. It was very small. I didn't watch movies that were, you know I once got to watch when I was in 6th grade, Dirty Dancing, which sounds like the most X-rated movie you could ever watch, right?
mhm.
Dancing in a dirty way?
I never I to this day have
Actually
still never seen it.
I
for
don't even
whatever
know.
reason you're about to say.
Yeah, I don't even know if I was allowed to watch it. I remember I was supposed to go to a sleepover where they were watching Dirty Dancing. I
Mm.
don't actually think I did watch it then. I think I wasn't allowed to. I had to stay out of school when I went to public school when they did mythology. I wasn't allowed to learn mythology, which makes my conversations with my son and my husband, who are love talking about all of that stuff, very difficult and boring because I never learned most of it. I know
Uh,
Zeus. So there's a lot of things that are
okay.
weird, but I definitely had a relationship where I think it's just religious, but I was kind of taught to be a servant of others in a way, to serve others, to take care of others, and not necessarily to think of myself first.
Yeah.
And it
Well,
went
that's a Christian teaching.
it is. I think I went and maybe
Yeah.
took it too far because it came
Yeah.
at the expense of what's best for myself, and it still does.
Yeah. Oh,
And
sure, sure, sure.
so
Yeah.
that isn't it. I'm not just blaming it on religious beliefs that I now struggle with charismatic anything. At the same time, Kurt, I look at charisma as passion. Like when I can be very charismatic with people, but it's passion. It's not like sleazy. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh. Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
bet you can too. You can. I've seen you on a stage before talking about something you really believe in.
Yeah. The moment someone tells me you're charismatic though, the first thing I
Yes.
do is like, "Oh, crap, did I ruin my whole talk?" You know?
Yeah. No, you
But
did
yeah,
not.
you're right. When I get passionate, things do start to change. So what was the role, let's talk about that. What was the role of charisma in your personal faith journey?
Well, I mean, oh, right, because 'cause we're talking about faith, I forgot.
Yeah, well, we're gonna tie it back to sales here in a second,
Yeah.
but I
I
don't wanna mix the 2 for yet.
yeah, I think that when I look back, it was really hard for me after I left the church, the cult church, to feel like I could trust anything. And I also have to say I never felt even even when even I wanted it with all my heart, but I never felt connected to Jesus or God, which is a huge problem.
That is a
I
big
feel like
problem.
there's and that comes from a very young age because I can think back and remember. And maybe I'll talk about reasons for that in the future, but I definitely struggled with that.
You know,
So feeling
Melody,
like
I've
a
already made a
chronic.
decision. I've already made a decision that I hope you agree with.
Yes.
We're gonna do an interview of me asking about your entire faith journey
And
background,
same for you. Yeah.
and then you can interview me, and what we'll do is, we'll always be able to reference people to those particular podcasts when
Yes.
we need to. That'll allow us to not have to repeat ourselves a ton.
Because this is deep.
Yeah,
This
this
is
is
like a
deep.
little too deep almost.
Yeah.
This might have to just go in that other episode.
Well, I think that for the purpose of today's episode, though, I am very interested in understanding, like, if you didn't have a relationship with Jesus or God, which
Mm,
obviously, as you said, that's very problematic.
yeah.
You're not gonna be able to stand on your own with your testimony of this doctrine, these gospel, stuff. So it sounds like charisma is what you replaces. This person is charismatic, i.e., passionate. You're just kind of
Mm.
AKAing it, and therefore I will stand on their passion. Am I
Maybe. I
okay?
think it was more that I desperately wanted to believe. That's the thing. It wasn't that I didn't want to or I was like, "I don't believe this crap." That's not what it was. And I
Mhm,
still desperately want that. I want to. But
mhm,
the thing that people that I see my friends experience, I don't. And I think one of the things I learned from my parents is they really experience their love of Christ and God in a very passionate way. They feel it, right? They feel it
mhm.
through the music. They feel it. The only time I feel God is when I'm at a gospel church. And like it's that level of power and like a black gospel church, probably in Brooklyn or Harlem or something. That's where I'm going to
Okay,
feel it.
okay.
You know, it's almost like God is charisma. And then I go to my wait, whoa. And then I go to my congregational church where it's very zen and it's just like this we read this hymn and God
Mhm,
is love. And it's very much the opposite
mhm.
of that. And it feels very meditative for me to go there.
Interesting. Well, then I'm gonna share with you
Yes.
that, so those listening, again, we're gonna do an episode where you can hear all of our backstory. I'm gonna give you enough just to understand what I'm about to explain here.
Mhm.
I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I have been through a deep faith crisis. I actually think I came out of my faith crisis probably as most members of my church, which also is known as the Mormons. And those of you who are hearing Melody talking about being a member of a cult, there's some of you who are very spiritually, Christian oriented, who probably believe that what I just said is that I'm a member of a cult. And even though I disagree with you, I understand how the bite model works and I understand why you say it. My point is that the place I'm at right now would probably put me at odds with a lot of members of my church
Mm.
because I accept it with some reservations. And I'll explain all those reservations in another podcast when we talk about our backgrounds. But that doesn't change the fact that when I grew up, I saw things very black and white.
Mm.
And one of the things that is taught, I shouldn't say it's taught in the whole church because I haven't been to every single one, even though I know we mostly all follow the same patterns, teach the same lessons, and, down to a lot of it.
Yeah.
But it's what you get out of a lesson, not so much what's taught in a lesson. So I'm going to be a little bit careful here walking this line. But I was taught that the world is very black and white. There is a God side and there is a not God side. I grew up in the church understanding what was being taught, which, by the way, I don't understand it this way anymore. But I did understand that was taught as either you're a member of this church, which is God's true church, and you are accepted and you have accepted, or someone has a fake counterfeit of this church. And it could be worshiping Allah, or it
Mhm.
could be worshiping Jesus Christ proper, but they're not worshiping the right Jesus. And I've grown to believe differently than that now. But that black and white model was also grounded in the fact that we have strong feelings and feelings are important, but we don't manufacture them. Now, the
Mm.
reason that's important, because I'm talking about charisma right now, is that if we had a band up the front of the church and they were playing music that used vibration and heavy this, and you could bring me up and then bring me down, you could
Mhm.
manufacture the feelings of the spirit.
Mhm.
And never once did I didn't know what a holy roller was until much later in my life. And it was, you talked about
Can
speaking in
you
tongues.
Yeah, can you explain your definition of a holy roller?
Holy
Just so
roller to me, I understand that there are churches. I've been to a couple of them now.
Mhm.
I've been to many different churches at this point in my life where people are shaking, they're on the ground, rolling around, and speaking in
And
unexplainable languages. And so I didn't know that that existed. We didn't make fun of
mm,
people who did that. We just were always very cautious. Let's be
mm,
careful that we're not doing something that will manufacture people to, quote, feel the spirit, the Holy Spirit, because now you can't trust those feelings. Okay. So we have no paid clergy in our religion. I'm gonna continue to refer to my church as the religion because
yeah.
I think it's the most accurate. So we don't have paid clergy, therefore no one's trained. We all go to a seminary, but that seminary is really to learn scripture and to
Mm.
learn doctrines and things like that. And it's not by any means like if you gave me, I got a certificate of graduation from seminary, but trust me, it does not match what people who go to other Christian
Yeah.
seminaries do. We have everyone from the congregation gets up, and there's usually two speakers per hour-long congregation meeting. We call it sacrament meeting. In sacrament meeting, we hear from just regular dudes. I am a child protective services worker by day, and today I'm speaking to you on charity. And then the next person who gets up might be his wife, who is maybe she's got an Etsy store and she's going to speak to us today on long suffering, or the atonement of Jesus Christ or something,
Are there songs? Is there
and
music?
there are songs. Those songs are accompanied by either a piano or organ. Usually a
Okay.
congregation song will be an organ, which is also played by somebody who has
Yeah.
no professional training. They can do it. And I say that, but sometimes people are pretty serious about it. But
Yeah.
my point is that everybody's just doing their part and we're trying to keep it super reverent. And
Mm.
in fact, reverence is a big thing we talk about. In fact, someone would probably talk about it in sacrament meeting. And that might be their topic. And so, and finally, to my point with that background, charisma to me has always equaled manufacturing.
Interesting.
And manufacturing to me, I'm not saying this for everyone else, but manufacturing to me typically means that I am ready to deceive you with something that I have created to override real world. Now, I'm not going to say that every member of my faith believes that. In fact, I'm not going to say that large portion of people. that's how I interpret it growing up,
Yeah.
is that I'm a member of the true church with the true gospel,
Mhm.
and that we are very careful that there are wolves in sheep's clothing everywhere. And the moment you sniff that
Yes.
something is not real, run away.
We went to the same church, you know. I also grew up in a church where we were the true gospel,
Okay.
and
Okay.
it didn't matter early on, any church I went to, that is the true gospel in the
Mhm,
evangelical faith. Be weary of anybody else who says that that's not true. The
mhm,
difference was we could feel the spirit of the Lord. That's what
mhm.
we wanted. We wanted to feel the spirit of the
Well,
Lord,
we do,
and
and
through
people think,
music.
and we filter music too. I wanna be clear,
Yeah,
very focused. In fact, the whole Mormon Church of
yeah,
Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I'm trying to be respectful here,
yes,
of our naming, but the whole thing is that your faith is based on the feelings that come from the Spirit, and I know a lot of people have a problem with the fact that our religion does not maybe look at the facts the same way, and that we
mm,
constantly have the answer, "Well, the Holy Spirit's made it known to me, so therefore I have the truth."
yeah,
And that's a very frustrating conversation for someone who's trying to, like, get you to see something that you won't look at because
yeah,
you're like, "Doesn't matter. Spirit already told me." So, the way we feel it
yeah,
is that we typically will feel it in tears. We'll
mhm.
typically feel it in a very reverent way. And while you may say it's manufactured, it feels very real to me.
What would bring you to tears if there's no charisma
Great question. Actually, this last Sunday, we were singing a song through the organ in
Mhm.
church. And again, I got to tell you, I'm not sitting in a room with a bunch of people who believe exactly the way I do.
Yeah,
And so there are a lot of times people say something, I'm like, I wonder if they've ever questioned they're talking
right.
about. But a song came on that talked about Jesus looking at me and seeing me for who I really am and understanding
Mhm,
me. And it hit me so deep, my voice just locked up, could not speak, tears flowing down my face. I just had that moment of just thinking, looking him in the face and him knowing me better than I know myself. And it was so personal. It was so special.
mhm,
And I thought, that's the moment I'm going for right now. I am living this moment so that I can get to that moment. And that can happen for me when someone's speaking. It could happen
yeah,
for me when I'm listening to a hymn. It could actually, you talk about meditative state.
yeah,
Lots of meditation has happened to me, not maybe in
yes,
that specific thought process,
yeah,
but the thought process of the gift that God has given me of my family, maybe you might do it or something. So that's it's not charisma driven. It's
mm.
typically very, like, message driven. Like, I'm receiving a message.
Can I
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's more like the Catholic faith is kind of reverent, it's very, like,
Mm,
driven by like, the hymns happen the I've only gone to Catholic funerals and weddings, but
okay.
it's all I think maybe one service, but it's always very, like the music is very reverent because it's only
Mhm.
organ, there's no band playing.
Yeah.
My dad, by the way, my mom and dad have always been in music ministry, so that's another
Okay.
reason why
Sure.
music plays deeply into their spiritual belief. We weren't, like, holding snakes or, like, writhing on the
Yeah,
ground. I just
sure.
need to make that known to everybody, and we're not that kind.
Well, if you
Um,
were, I'd still
I don't
think
know
you're
yeah,
wonderful. So it's not just like that. For example, we would never recite a prayer. We would never recite a prayer that someone else gave to us. It would
really?
be,
No
yeah,
Lord's Prayer?
no. Well, we might read the Lord's Prayer, but it wouldn't be a prayer. It would be an example of a way you could pray.
Oh, interesting.
A talk that's given in church, it's specific to that particular person. And so it's very personalized. There's no chanting, there's no anything like that. So again, because that would be a manufactured creed or something that we have to, like, be driven by.
Yeah,
Again, kind of we as a member of
yeah,
the religion, we would actually see that as cult like, so we wouldn't
interesting.
we wouldn't participate in something like that. So now imagine, here I am, an entrepreneur, and I've got to persuade someone to feel what I want them to feel and
Mm,
to buy what I want them to buy. And I hope that in the amount of time I've spent sort of explaining my background, I hope that you can just sort of connect those dots as to how against the grain that is for me naturally. It felt exactly, and it's funny, my parents were so proud of me, starting my own business and
yeah,
everything, and yet I felt like a fraud, like, what if they knew I have to go sell these jobs, you
Have you
know?
talked to your parents about that ever? Like, I mean, you must have. I mean,
Yeah.
you have a company for it, but
Yeah, and I have. I think the way we're talking about it is much different than the way I talk to my
oh,
parents about it.
yeah.
You talked about you hope your parents never listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, they
I
might,
s
but
I still would be so devastated if my parents ever thought that some type of parenting that they did was
yes.
wrong or broken or, whatever. I love my parents. I love my wife the very, very most,
Mhm.
and I love God a lot. I think I might love him more than my wife, but I'm not sure about that.
You really like Rachel a lot.
I really do. Rachel's my very favorite,
I
favorite,
know.
favorite. And I think I even like my kids possibly more than my parents. But after that, it's my
Yeah,
parents. My
yeah.
parents are just like I love them
They're
so much. And
they're
and
great.
I want to please them. I want to make that clear too, is that as
Yeah.
a people pleaser, I want to
Mm,
please my parents.
yeah.
And that's not I'm not saying as a kid. I'm saying right now they are worthy of whatever I can do to please them. I
Mhm.
will do it because I'm not doing it out of obligation. I don't feel like I have to do it out of obligation. I want to please my parents because they are worth pleasing. I
And you
love
love
them.
them. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah. I hear what you're saying. I think I've gone through so much. It's very everything you said about your upbringing, even though you're talking about a completely different experience, it's what I experienced also. The
Mm,
only difference was that we were allowed to look for we did want reverence, but reverence came, like, with emotion. Like,
mm,
that's how you were gonna experience the emotion. I mean,
mhm,
the reverence and feel closer to God, it's with
mhm.
that. And so, it's interesting that I've never heard about how a service is in the Mormon faith, so it was
We'll do it. We'll do,
yeah,
I think we'll do a series. As you were talking, I wanted to double click on a few things
I know
that
there's
you
so
said too.
much.
So in the interest of time, I'm looking at how far we are into this
Also, this is,
podcast.
like, definitely not a part this is part 1 of a
Yeah,
so yeah, we
yeah,
probably could have had a whole podcast on selling without selling your soul.
yeah. But I think we should try to like the so what here. Let's do the so
Yeah.
what. So let's go into your experience, Melody.
Mm.
How have you personally, taking your experience, how have you been able to get comfortable with selling without selling your soul?
So, I've paid so much money, well, for therapy, but also for business, conventions, conferences, coaching.
Coaching, yeah.
Just the coaching
Mhm.
was huge for me. Also, just being around I've paid to be around people who are really good at sales, and I'll bring up Josh Latimer as an example, if that's okay.
I think that's good because I'll end up bringing him up too, I think.
Okay. One of the things that's cool about Josh is he's really, really talented at selling. I don't
Mhm.
always believe the way that he does it. It wouldn't be right for me. But
Yeah.
what I love about what he did about 2 years ago is he put it out an offer, and in his offer, he basically told us how he was convincing us to buy his offer while he did that was what the sale was.
Isn't that clever? He's so clever.
Brilliant. And for somebody like me, it's everything I dreamed about. I want somebody to tell me, like, "Hey, this is what I'm doing to you right now as I sell you on this thing. Do you want me to tell you all the secrets to sales? Join my thing." And I was like, "Absolutely, I need to join that thing because"
Penn and Teller made a whole business out of this, right? I love
Right.
that.
But the thing is, like, I need to understand the thing first because everything is based on the emotion of what my history is and everything. I wanna understand it. Now that I understand sales on a much deeper level, there's a lot of things that I still struggle with, but I don't struggle with the fact that I'm doing something that helps people. I've also been doing it long enough now to know that I mean, how many millions of extra dollars have you put into communities based on your software, right? How
Yeah.
many hours of time have I given back to people because I got them an executive assistant and taught them how to work together and things like that? Like, we do things that actually support other people's growth well
Yeah.
beyond what we can imagine. See, I just sold you on what we do. But I believe in it because I've seen it, I've heard
Mhm.
it, and I've had enough people tell me, like, I would never, ever there's very little you could tell me you're a charlatan, I'll be, "That's adorable." Like,
Oh gosh. Oh, wow.
but, like, I'm
That's like the
sorry.
worst, but like that's the F
I
word to
know,
me.
but you're not. I would be like, "That's
Mhm.
adorable that you think you're a charlatan." You're not.
Uh,
Like, I can see right through that.
uh,
But then also because we have this back and thinking thing. I'm like, well, what if I really am? And I'm just getting really good at just selling the thing. And I don't know. Are we overthinkers, Kurt? Is that part of this whole thing?
I
Perhaps.
think that's the hinge that this podcast swings on.
Yeah, yeah, right. Mhm.
Yeah.
Now I'm at the point where I understand I'm really good at the thing I do,
Mhm.
and it sucks that I'm bad at talking about it in a way that people can really feel, and
Yeah.
so I'm getting good at talking about it in a way that people can relate to and that, the right people that I want to
Mhm.
serve. That's the whole point is I wanna attract those people to me, and I want them to trust me, and then I wanna tell them how I'm gonna help them. That's selling.
It's funny. I have a Josh Latimer story right on that one. Like if I
Yeah,
can pick up where you
please.
left off right there, Josh talks about how it's our moral obligation
He does.
to tell people about the thing that we do. And you are so authentic and you're, so far from a charlatan. And here we are both pumping each other up.
Mhm.
Like you guys are like, gosh, Curt and Melody, is that like the main thing you do is just pump each other up?
I hope so.
Maybe, but who knows? Maybe it is. But internalizing that, you just said I'm really good at what I do. It sucks that I can't talk about it. And I really do believe that Josh is right. It's your moral obligation. Josh has been trying to get me on a podcast for years. He's like, Curt, you of all people need to have a podcast.
I
You
agree
love
with
to tell
him.
stories, and
Yes.
and you're the one that I'm like, Melody, I think if I did a podcast with you, I would do a podcast.
And we did.
And we
It's
did, and here
amazing.
we are. But Josh always said, he said, Curt, you're just so passionate and it's gonna translate perfectly on a podcast. And I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. I hear you, but I've got things I gotta do.
Yeah.
And I just find so much healing in the podcast. But I also think that just along those same lines is that it sucks that I'm not good at telling people how good I am. I'm not good at marketing it right. Well, guess what, Melody? You and I both, it's our moral obligation. And I believe
But
it's true
why? But
be-
why?
because if we don't, either people are going to be left with something substandard,
Yeah.
possibly even by less savory people who
Charlatans.
give them their yeah, or they'll have nothing at all because they're problem unaware. I
Yeah.
think there's the problem unaware people, there's problem aware people, and then there's people who have taken action to actually solve their problem. And if I'm not part of their solution, I believe that they're getting a solution that's not, if the product is as good, I guarantee you the team's not. And if the team is as good, I guarantee the product's not. So
Why are we able to say how great we are at the thing we do? Like, we are passionate about
mm,
and I think it's because we know that we're putting all of our energy and effort into making something that actually it's like we ethically sourced our product our services because everything we do is about we wanna help people.
we believe that sorry, I'm about to put words in your mouth, but
You
I think I've
can.
heard you actually say these things
Yeah.
before. We believe that if we're good enough at what we do, if you build it, they will come. We
Yes.
believe that people will just bring their friends and everyone will just come and we can just be so good we don't have to tell anyone. I
Yes.
call it punching people in the face with your Jesus ring. Okay. So
Mm.
I shake someone's hand. I say, hi, my name is Curt. I'm a husband and father. I have a company and I'm a believer in Jesus. Okay, cool. What if I just shook your hand and said, hi, my name is Curt, and you could tell all that about me just by interacting with me?
Mhm.
See, if I punch you in the face with my Jesus ring and say, I'm a believer, then it feels like I am already seeding something so
Yes.
that you will automatically begin to trust me because I was willing to it's the same reason that prisons are full of innocent people, if you ask them, right? Is
Mm.
if I am telling you I'm a believer in Jesus can say that. But also, someone who wants to manipulate people who only deal with believers in Jesus to do business with them or to work with them or be friends with them or whatever, they also could do that. So
Yeah.
instead of saying it,
Living it. You wanna live it.
I want to live it. And
But that's what I was taught too. Like,
yeah,
live your values.
and that's our problem. I think from a marketing perspective
Mm.
is don't go out and tell them you're great, just be great. And
Yes.
and here's another thing, Melody.
Yeah,
As we're I know this podcast as we go on, I think we could do like a 20-hour podcast
they
if I could
could.
stay awake that long. But Melody, I believe not only that I can show you with my actions,
Yeah.
but if I say it with my mouth, if I megaphone this out into the world, we have had negative experiences with customers. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid that a post goes out into the world that all the people agree with or who have had a good experience with us will say, right on, that's cool, and then move on with their life.
Yeah.
And then the one who had the negative experience goes out there
Mhm.
and says, liar,
Yes.
he did this, or their software did that, or I expected this and got that. And now I've got to publicly explain to the whole world why I'm without blemish here, even though I've made a mistake.
Mm.
But this was a misunderstanding, or this was a thing. And I've got enough people out in the world.
Yes.
It's not a large number, but it only takes one of them to speak up as hey,
Yeah.
I'm great. I'm megaphoning that out in the world. And then someone goes up and gives him middle finger. No, he's not. And now I feel like,
You're
and
lying.
by the way,
Yeah.
we could do that for Apple computers, the
Of
biggest,
course.
the
Well,
big.
because it's assuming like when people use your product and when they use mine. I mean, honestly, Kurt, I didn't even use Responsibid, the software. I paid for it for years. So you're welcome. But I didn't use it for years
Oh,
until I finally,
wonderful.
and when I finally set it up, it was like magic, right? When
Mhm,
I finally
mhm.
did the work and got over my confidence issue with it too. Magic. So I guess what I'm saying is you're awesome.
Oh, well, thank
But
you. But I mean, to
yeah,
go, I don't want to. What I'm talking about is a principle that I think applies to both you and me. How do you sell without
yes.
selling your soul? Number one is you realize that there will be 0.5%. You can be
Yes.
great, and 0.5% of the people in the world will think you suck.
Well, actually, I forgot the point that I was trying to make is that
Oh, oh,
your product or your and my services, they rely on people doing the work that we do.
oh, sure, 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 sure.
So,
Hmm.
people who don't take responsibility are going to say we were the problem, right?
Yeah, I bet. I mean, that's certainly been the
And
case. I mean,
you can work as hard as you want to make them successful, but they're not gonna be successful. That's happened to me so many times.
yeah, yeah.
And you know what I do? This is how I sell without selling my soul now, Kurt. I actually talk about this. This is part of my marketing strategy, actually, and it made me okay with selling. I forgot about this. I
Mm,
actually tell people in our marketing all over, we're not perfect. Our success rate is, I don't know what it is right now, but it's, probably in the high 80s, low 90%.
mhm.
And I don't trust anybody who says like they're 100% or anything under 90.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I'm like, we're not perfect. Most of the time we get it right. But when we don't get it right, the thing is we will do whatever it takes to get it right. Like
yeah.
we will work
But
hard.
whatever it takes might involve getting on an airplane,
Not for me,
meeting the
but
person, grabbing their hand, putting it on the keyboard, making them do that thing, right? Like the
oh, well,
thing
I
that you can't
actually
make
set
on.
it up now so they can't get their VA unless they do the work ahead of time.
Oh,
I learned. So I've set it into our systems that they have
mm,
to be successful. And if they're not, I've given them everything possible. I know in my heart,
mm.
I've done everything possible. Kurt, you set up a certification system in your software.
I did,
You've
yeah.
made it as easy as possible for
I
people to
know,
be
I
able
know.
to do it. So I guess at what point is that okay? And also because we know the operations, did I talk about that part of like we know everything that's going on in a company. I'll say me. When I was involved in operations on a day-to-day basis, I
Mhm,
couldn't sell because I felt like I was gonna be lying. If
mm.
there was a little micro
Oh,
problem on the back end, I felt like I can't tell people that we're great when
yeah.
we have
I'm
this.
dealing with this right now. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, literally, I woke up this morning to find out that one of our customers' forms was being spammed by this new AI bot that I've never encountered
Ugh.
before,
Yeah.
and he got 25,000 bids in the course of, like, a 12-hour period
Holy crap.
or whatever it was, and, it was all about Bitcoin. It's this Bitcoin thing,
Ugh.
and this morning I wake up and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, the world's coming to an end," and
Yes.
I'm thinking to myself, one AI bot is giving itself a bunch of bids, like, can we
Yeah.
just take a chill pill, Kurt? It really, you talk about, are we overthinkers? Melody, I think that as I'm sort of coming to the end conclusion here of how do you sell without selling your soul, I think that there's two things. There's the things that you need to know,
Mm.
and then there's the things that you need to believe.
Yeah.
And I think that what you need to know, just to go back to the Josh Latimerism, is that you need to know it is your responsibility to sell your product. No one's going to do it for you.
Yeah.
You are the thing. You need to believe that your product is authentically a solution to a real problem, creating real value. And if you can believe that, even when you know that perfection is out of reach and it's just, by the way, no one is going to have it, right?
Yeah.
No one's going to get that.
Yeah.
But if you're striving for it, you're worthy. You need to believe that you're worthy
Mm,
of being able to create a value stack. You're worthy of being able to follow a systematic way to persuade people to spend their money
mm,
with you because you're going to provide them more than those number of dollars in value. Now, when I cleaned windows, that was really hard for me to understand. How could someone give me $300
yes.
cash, and how could I possibly create more value for them than that dollars in cash? And when you're serving someone who's not in your when you aren't in your target market, and I'll put it that way,
Yeah.
I understand that that could be a really hard thing. But when every time someone votes for you with their dollars, they're proving that to be a true statement.
Mm,
And so if you can't live on your own belief, please at least stand on the belief of someone else. Maybe it needs to be your customers.
that's brilliant. I'm gonna put that on my bumper sticker that I will stick in my wall. I could
Your
just do a
bum-
regular sticker, I guess.
yeah, it could be a bumper sticker for your wall. That's cool.
Yeah. No, but that say that again.
So you need to believe that the value that you create is greater than the number of dollars that you're asking for. And if
Mm,
you can't get all of that belief on your own, then can you at least stand on the belief of others,
yeah.
including those who are already voting for you with their dollars, your customers?
Mm,
Can you use their belief in you to provide the belief to push you to know and believe that it is your moral obligation to put as much of your service into the world as you can truly facilitate?
wow. That's really good. And it's true. And I'm gonna take that with me away from this because I kinda needed to hear that as I do every day. So I'm just gonna take a clip, put it on my phone, and it'll become my alarm.
Well, I don't think you will. I don't think you should.
I
But I
might.
but if you do, I hope for all of our listeners, if Melody and I are anything, we're transparent, and
Mm,
you certainly got that today. My hope is that you will take what we've discussed today and realize that it's cool to want to be authentic. It's cool to want to be genuine and morally straight. But what's not cool is that sometimes the symptoms that come with that disease,
mm,
it's not a disease, but the symptoms that come with that are sometimes these weird limiting self beliefs.
yeah.
And if you don't recognize them in yourself, which hopefully we've helped to put some anchors in to help you to see some of that in yourself, I hope that you will see the value in taking action.
Mm,
Fact is that a good person does deserve to win. I know that Melody and I have a topic we want to cover. We have a whole long list of stuff.
yeah.
One of the things we want to talk about is nice guys finishing last or first or however they should finish, and what a leader like a nice guy should look like, or gal, nice guy or gal. I hope that today in our discussion, you have found in yourself the incongruence of, I want to do the best job, but I'm nervous to tell other people.
Mm,
And if anything comes out of this, the fact is that when you sell your actual soul, you're not selling your soul, right? You're selling who you are, like the soul of yourself in the most authentic and transparent way possible. That's actually kind of the greatest gift you can give. The people
mm,
that sell their soul, air quotes, in the negative way are saying, I will exchange any amount of money. I will say whatever it takes for me to collect the largest amount of dollars,
mhm,
regardless of the impact it has on others, because I'm the only one I care about. Look, if you already are the type of person that we've described, that's not in
mhm.
you.
Isn't that a corporation, what you just described?
Well, you
A
know,
large multi
I I think
I'm
that
just
we
saying.
could unpack that. We could
Yeah.
unpack that. I'm not. Let's
Not
unpack.
the people within a
Mhm,
corporation
mhm.
necessarily, but
Yeah,
I
because the corporation needs to win at all costs. Maybe
it does.
I think
That's
there are
business.
corporations that have kept their mission and values. I don't want to be so pessimistic, so I'm going to say I
Well, they
disagree,
work
but
for
I'm
their
not.
shareholders.
Okay. 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 And
So
the
that
shareholders, and your argument is that a
yes,
shareholder wants a profit regardless of.
100% profit first is what
Okay. Okay.
and
Well,
that's not
I
yeah,
think I fundamentally disagree with you.
interesting.
Even though I know that I'm gonna have to dig hard to probably find
Add
the
it to our
outlier.
list.
Okay, we'll put it in the list. Melanie,
Yeah.
what are your final words on this? I've been talking too much. What are your final words?
I'm listen, you're literally preaching at me in a way that I can hear all day. Like you're very it's just been very helpful to me. I would say that this is something that I think I don't know if I will ever reach the point where I fully embrace being an amazing marketer, salesperson. And I think I'm okay with that. I
Mm,
think that if I did, that might become a problem, is my guess. And so I want to keep my awareness, but
okay.
I'm not averse to selling to people who need my service. I think that's the one
Mm.
thing we need to think about is a lot of people are selling to people who don't need something.
Yeah,
And that's the difference is we
there is a
really
problem. Yeah.
yeah. I really want to give my service or to help people who actually need it, who can afford it, not based on what I believe, but what they believe.
Mhm, mhm.
And I'm okay with that. But I
Yeah.
don't think I'll ever be fully okay with the sales and marketing. One of my coaches, I think I said this before, but a business can be a ministry, but not a charity.
Mm,
And it helps to confirm to me, like, it's okay to be on a mission to help people and to be making profit off of that
yeah,
because I wouldn't be able to do it for free. And I also can't it has to be a business.
yeah. Being a good person who has a mortgage really,
Exactly.
really necessitates. And if you do you enjoy, like, eating meals, for
I've heard,
example?
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
it's okay. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, you start going through that budget and you go, "Being a good
Right.
person does not clear me of
My kids do
some of the
not
stuff I
get
gotta do."
clothed by
Yeah.
being a good person. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Melody, as always, I absolutely adore my time with you.
Me too.
I want to start recording our next podcast right this second
I know.
because this is so enriching. And I hope that our listeners are listening to this. Maybe leave one question with our listeners. What one change do you need to make in yourself that will bring you closer to overcoming a challenge of selling or marketing? I think marketing fits perfectly. Melody just said, I don't know if I ever want to be a great marketer. Well, guess what? That's probably a self-limiting belief that you need to overcome. We'll cover that in another topic. But I would like for our listeners to sort of think to themselves, what's an area right now that I am holding myself back in terms of really helping the value that I get out into the world get out into the open. And so think about that. And I hope that by listening to this podcast, you've been entertained. But more importantly, I hope that you're entertaining a new way of being and that will help you to become more of who you actually want to be.
Wow. Profound. Ditto. I agree with you.
Mhm.